Hello and welcome to my channel. If this is your first time here, my name is Millie and I love any makeup, especially eyeshadows, like eyeshadow palettes. Really my favorite. I just love to try out different formulas. And I've been doing ranking videos of the palettes I've tried each month. I've done it since about like the end of 2021. And this video idea goes to Annette from Annette's Makeup Corner. I will of course link her channel down below. Can you believe we're already in April? And I feel like I say that every time I do this ranking video, but it just feels like the time is flying by. And today I have actually 9 palettes to rank, which I think is actually the most so far in a month of this year. And I actually have tried some bad palettes. I usually say like none of these palettes are bad, it's just I have to rank them. But in this case, there are actually some bad palettes that I tried in the month of April. The bottom 2 and the top 2 were really easy, and then in between it was really hard. So let's get right into it. If you've seen the dedicated video on these palettes, then you probably already know. But in 9th place is the Color Block Huda Beauty palette, the orange and purple one. There's also the blue and green palette, but in bottom place, do not recommend this whatsoever. It's just not good quality. Huda Beauty unfortunately can't really do well with colorful eyeshadows. They really kill it with their shimmer game in their larger palettes and even some of their other 9-pan palettes that are more neutral. They know what they're doing with neutrals. But in this case, not so much. I had such a hard time with a bunch of the colors in this palette. Some of the mattes are okay, but if you want to see more detailed thoughts, definitely check out that video, and I will be linking all the dedicated videos in the description box in case you're interested and you missed some. And so in 8th place is the other Color Block palette. This one, I just really prefer this color story, and I love that both of these have a cake liner in them, though I'm kind of mixed on the cake liner. I said in my video I wanted to force myself to use these palettes like a 4th time to really just see if I really didn't like them. Unfortunately, I didn't have the time, but I don't really see my thoughts really changing because I did 3 looks, and I just feel like based on that, from swatching these, I'm doubtful that I would change my thoughts on these. Again, some of the colors are pretty decent. The shimmers are okay. They're a bit harder pressed, and definitely recommend a glitter primer to really make them pop, but they're not like the worst parts of the palette. It really is just like the darker blues. Even this one was a bit patchy on me. I just don't think that these are worth $29, especially because they're only 9-pan palettes. So those are really the worst. From now on, all the palettes are good. Just wanted to put that out there because those are truly just like the standout. I really think those are gonna go in my like worst products so far that I've tried in 2022. So in 7th place is the Patrick Ta Major Dimension 2 palette. I did already do a dedicated video on this palette and I like it. I definitely, oh my gosh, the light is just really hitting this awkwardly. Anyways, I'm going to put this down, but I'm going to talk about it. The shimmers are really nice. There's 2 duochrome kind of shades. The creams I'm a little iffy on. I did experience quite a bit of creasing, but I do have hooded oily lids, so it wasn't like a huge surprise, but it is just a little unfortunate. That being said, I'm going to make sure I keep the cream eyeshadows from anywhere. That's my mobile lid to avoid any sort of creasing, but I think they're really nice in here to have to layer the mattes in the palette on top of those creams. The mattes are really nice. I mean, overall, it's a nice neutral kind of mauve palette. So while I think the quality is really good, I definitely recommend trying to get it on sale. So then in 6th place is the Gemini 2 palette. This was really hard. Like this is really like, the ranking gets a little dodgy up until the 2nd place because I really enjoyed all these palettes. It's really all about the color story at this point. So this was the 2nd kind of like sister of the original Gemini. They did also relaunch the original Gemini in similar like fancier packaging, which I did get. Haven't had time to film with it yet. I'm honestly not sure when I'm gonna be able to get to it, but I did try this one out in a video. I also did some swatch comparisons in that video if you're interested, because I do have some of the stack matte eyeshadows that are kind of similar to these if you're curious about those. So overall, I really enjoyed this color story. This reminds me of the Vintage Rose palette from Gimme Glow. I did also compare that palette to this palette in this video. So they're actually pretty different, and there's obviously more shades in this one. The shimmers in here, they're an improvement from some other palettes from Elle Cosmetics. However, they're not my favorite. They're like metallic, but they're like thick metallic, and they're still not very shiny. I don't really see myself like almost getting any use out of those 2 shades. So for that reason, really mostly is why this palette is a little lower, and also because the color story, while of course you can wear any sort of eyeshadow colors throughout the year, I really just see myself gravitating towards a little less grungier tones than this, just a little bit more colorful tones, if you will. But I do see myself definitely reaching for this like come fall. So then in, what am I at? 5, 4, 3, 2, 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 5, fifth place. Place is the What's Up Beauty Geodes palette. I was gifted this palette from the brand. I did a dedicated video. I did 3 looks. I think I did 3 looks, and really enjoy this palette. It's a little bit on the neutral side, but like not too neutral leaning. The shimmers in here, spectacular. Actually, a bunch of the shades are similar to the shimmers from the larger Huda Beauty palettes, such as the Mercury Retrograde, the Rose Quartz, and the Naughty palette. And I did do comparisons towards the end of that video in case you're interested in comparisons, but I really enjoy this palette a lot. The mattes are super nice, just right on par with their previous palette. And I can't wait to see what What's Up Beauty has in store for us in the future. And then on to the 4th place. I just keep losing. It's not even that many palettes, but I just keep losing count. So this is the Nomad Paradise Islands palette. This one was also gifted to me. And this is just a really beautiful, bright and colorful eyeshadow palette. There's not a lot of depth in it, which was one of my critiques, but I do understand like you don't always have to have depth, especially if it's supposed to be a little bit more like summery. I do feel like a lot of people might just rather opt for bright and colorful eyeshadow looks for summer versus like deepening out the outer corner. That really just might be a personal thing. Overall, I really enjoyed the palette. I did 3 or 4 looks. I don't even remember. It was like towards the beginning of April, and I was really impressed with the mattes. The mattes were super pigmented, really beautiful. I need to dip more into this palette. I need to do a reel or something with it because it is just such a fun color story. However, I was a little bit disappointed in the shade Whale and Bora Bora. I talked about it in the video where it's just, they're pretty lackluster out of all the shimmers in here. Like the other shimmers are so beautiful in here that these 2 shades just fell flat for me, and they're just really dusty. So I think that's part of why it's not ranking any higher. 3rd place is the Sugar High palette, and honestly it was a little hard to kind of decide if I wanted this in the 3rd place or the Nomad palette, because I do also have some minor gripes with the Sugar High palette from Menagerie Cosmetics, but mostly because again there's no depth. This is all very like just like mid-tone, and there's darker shimmers in here, so I just felt like there was something missing, especially with just the darker shimmers. It just really doesn't make sense to me personally. So while I do feel less inspired by this color story than the Nomad palette, actually I should probably rank that one higher. But you know what? I really prefer these shimmers in here. I feel like this palette, like quality wise, is the best for Menagerie, and I've tried pretty much all of their palettes. Except for the Feral palette. I did not get that one, but the shimmers in here, absolutely exquisite. They're so beautiful, so metallic, super smooth. They apply really easily. The mattes are really nice and pigmented, and they blended really nicely together. And you know I'm a shimmer girl, so I'm gonna put my shimmers first. So that's why this one is ranking a little higher, even though I'm not like so in love with the color story, but you know, I knew what I was buying. So in 2nd place, if you haven't been able to guess yet, is the Creepy Cute 2 palette from Shroud Cosmetics. So excited to see a 2nd palette from them that is the Creepy Cute theme. So the original palette is much more pastel. This is much more vibrant. I love the tones in here. I did 4 looks with this palette. The mattes are really pigmented, but you can also go in with a lighter hand and kind of build them up if you wanted to. So I feel like that makes this palette so versatile, and this palette is just going to be so great to pair with my shimmers, especially with the palette that's in 1st place, and that is the Dragon Fruit palette from Clionadh Cosmetics in collaboration with Emily Violet Marie. Surprise, all shimmer palette, all matte palette, perfect 1 and 2. I actually have 2 dedicated videos on this palette in case you're interested in seeing some looks. I have created, I feel like, so many looks at this point with this palette. I did 3 looks in the 2nd video, I did 2 looks in the 1st video, and then I also did a look off camera. So I've done like so many looks with this palette. I've really tried it out. Unfortunately, if you saw the 1st video, there was like a little plastic piece that did like break off here. So it has now completely kind of like fallen apart, which is too bad. So I might have to depot the palette, which you totally can do because the pans are removable and they are magnetic. So when I first saw the palette, which was actually in person because I did get this in PR before they did the reveal, and I knew that there was some satins in here, and you know I don't like satins. However, these are like special satins, definitely a very unique formulation from Clionadh, and all the looks I've done with this palette has been just with this palette using the satins, and I can't believe it, but like I really am enjoying these satins. I also have used some of the satins as blush, which is super, super fun. They are absolutely gorgeous as blush. I was very happy that these satins worked out for me. And then of course we have some really beautiful sparkly shades in here. Infusion is stunning. Bubbles and Effervescent, absolutely love those. Those are a little bit on the chunkier side. They're absolutely beautiful, so dimensional. Dragantini is a multi-chrome, also really beautiful, super, super shifty and super metallic. Like, you can just really have so much fun with this palette. You can do a green look, green and purple, pinky, peachy look, purpley look. Just really enjoying this palette, and I'm so excited for this collaboration between Clionadh and Emily Violet Marie. I really feel like they did an amazing, amazing job, and just everything is so cute and everything is so cohesive, and their attention to detail really is there. And if you would like to see all the other things in the collection, you can check out the original video with this palette. So that's my palette ranking for the month of April. So far, it's already looking like May is going to be full of eyeshadow palettes. So definitely, if you're new to my channel, definitely subscribe if you would like to see more eyeshadow palette content, multi-chrome content. So let me know in the comments below if any of this ranking shocked you. What did you think was going to be my #1 palette, my last place palette? I would love to hear your thoughts. And that's everything for this video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. And if you're new to my channel, I would love it if you subscribe. There's so much indie makeup content, lots and lots of tutorials supporting my channel, and much more to come. You don't want to miss out. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in my next video.